Jesse here. I just want to talk really quick about something that you can do to help battle your addiction, with pornography and help you win the battle when you're doing nofap, and that is starving your addiction. Now, when you're doing nofap, if you look at, if you're looking at subjective things or you slip one day, it's easy to fall back into the bad habits. So a good way and a good habit to do is to stay away from any kind of explicit or subjective thing. And what you're doing is you're starving the addiction. And what starving the addiction means is that the less you watch it, the less you, even if you take a look at it or you look at something that's subjective, you're starving the addiction. You're not feeding it anymore. And when you starve it, after a long period of time, it starts to disappear and it starts to dissipate. So by doing that, you stand a much better chance at winning long term when it comes to doing nofap long term. And that's how most guys and girls get to 90 days and 30 days and do like weeks on end. So when you're doing nofap, remember, even one slip can make you go back into the loop, go back into your bad habits and make you go back into anything. So that's why it's always good to be consistent with your days, keep your routine going on, and starve the addiction. So make sure you're not looking at the porn sites, and make sure you're not even thinking about the porn sites. Make sure you're not looking at anything that's on Instagram, because most stuff on Instagram is pretty explicit, honestly. If you go on there, it's very easy to get tempted to watch more subjective things. And myself too, I find that Instagram is a dopamine waterfall. So what you could do also too is, when you're doing nofap, it's easy to transfer one addiction to another. So if you're not watching porn so much, you may start to want to be on Facebook more. You might turn another addiction into, turn to another addiction. So you might want to feed your dopamine receptors with something in substitute for that. So let's say that you stop watching porn and you stop the addiction, but now you find yourself, you're drinking too much coffee, or eating too much chocolate, or you're on Facebook too much, or you're on Instagram too much, or you're on Reddit too much. Now you're feeding one addiction with the other, and you have to be careful not to feed one addiction with the other. Don't substitute one addiction for the other, because if you do that, then you're gonna only develop a new addiction, and eventually it's gonna be hard to break that addiction too. So what you want to do is, it's kind of like fasting, right? It's kind of like not feeding your dopamine receptors with any kind of rewards without putting in work. So you want to make sure that you're not looking on Instagram all the time. Try to stay off of Facebook. Try to not do anything that will feed your dopamine receptors. Don't game a lot. If you game, you gotta keep it at a moderate level. I cut out gaming completely, and it was really, really hard, because honestly, I'm huge in gaming. I love video games. I have my PlayStation 4, but the hardest thing for me was cutting out the games. Just being hey Jesse, you gotta cut out the games, you gotta focus on your goals. You can't watch these games, or you can't play these games, because if I start playing these games, then I get more into the games, and then I'm feeding my dopamine receptors, and then one thing leads to the other, and eventually I'm back in porn again. So you have to make sure you're starving your addictions, starving all the addictions. Focus your energies into your goals, and you can once in a while give yourself a reward. But if you put in the work first and then the reward after, then you're starting to build a healthy routine for yourself, a healthy habit, and eventually, you're going to beat it long term. So with that said, if you like the video, drop a like below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow. I know it's a kind of a late video today. I was busy doing a few things, but I'm going to continue to keep dropping videos. Alright, so with that said, I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like and a comment below. Take care, guys.